Creed 3. Another decent entry from Marvel, starring Kang.
I'm sorry, from who?
Starring Kang, Killmonger, and Valkyrie.
Damn.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Give us a little bit of a snapshot in how we just rewash the same black actors over and over again.
A little bit of a different origin story we've got going on here. I don't know if this is the boxing universe and it's not Earth 616 anymore.
When they choose you, they choose you. Like, you gonna be in everything.
Yeah. Yep.
You're gonna be in everything. Not even just the Marvel stuff, like Lovecraft Country. You have all the stuff that Tessa Thompson's in. Tessa Thompson's in everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Michael B. Jordan, obviously, everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. When you get tapped, boy, you get tapped. You work for sure.
I just wonder if Sam Wilson's playing the Mr. T character in the sequel.
You want Anthony Mackie to be Clubber Lang?
Well, I'm running out of black actors from Marvel.
Let's get him. It's gonna be Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle's nuts.
Don Cheadle.
That is crazy.
It's gonna be Dame's dad.
Yeah,
you beat my son. You think you can beat me?
That's crazy. Anyway, that Marvel joke went on way too long. Yeah, so I thought it was a pretty good movie. I don't ultimately know yet where I put it amongst the Creed movies.
I hadn't even thought about it until you just said that. Where do I rank it in the Creed movies?
Creed 2 was okay, but
yeah,
I feel like
Creed 1 is the best,
better one.
Best one for me. I would probably put this ahead of Creed 2.
I think I would agree with that.
So it'd be 1, 3, 2.
Yes, I would agree with that. Creed 1 was really good, but Creed 2 was okay. It just felt like it was made for the sole purpose of bringing a new Drago in it.
Sure.
In this movie, I kind of liked the whole past versus present thing that they had going on, and the similarities that they had going on with it, like how his daughter dealt with her problems versus how he originally dealt with his problems as well. Like we've seen him, fighting everybody. In Creed 1, we saw him fight through his problems as a kid. Obviously, in this movie, we seen him kind of fight through his problems.
Side note: the scene where obviously spoilers. The scene where they were having a discussion after she punched that girl in her face. Are you gonna answer any of my questions? Like, I know I'm coming at you a little crazy. You might be a little scared. You know what I'm saying? I'm the heavyweight champ. But are you gonna answer my questions? Or is this girl actually bullying my daughter? It's like we just kind of jumped past all of that and said, "Hey, look, she's a great student, but she fights." Excuse me, is my daughter being bullied? Why did she do this?
That plus, if they knew that his daughter fought, why would the little girl go up to her and rip her poster if she wasn't ready for a fight?
Fam, what are we talking about here?
I don't think that little girl, I mean, she's a little white girl, but I don't think she was the bully.
She walked, her mom walked off of that a little too quickly for me.
I agree.
She was acting like they was there on scholarship or something. You pay your tuition just like everybody else.
Facts. I liked they were playing a song, "The Watcher" by Dr. Dre, especially at the beginning of it when they went to the boxing gym with Damian, younger Adonis. Then it became J. Cole's verse, which I thought was pretty cool. Drago as a sparring partner, I thought was a nice little callback to at least Creed 2.
So there were several Rocky tropes, and I touched on it a little bit, I think, in the out of theater review. But there were several Rocky film tropes that showed up in this movie, and it was interesting because I got the feeling, by the way, that they never even mentioned his name, not one single time that I can recall in the movie that they utter the name Rocky. So they were very dutiful about making this Adonis's story. This is a Creed movie. It's not a Rocky movie. Yeah. And in doing that, they repeat a lot of Rocky tropes. Like even when they bring him up, even when Dame brings him up, he doesn't say Rocky. He says if Creed can give an underdog a chance, he's talking about Rocky. They will not say this man's name. But okay, so the Rocky tropes that pull back up. Drago being his sparring partner is literally Creed being Rocky's sparring partner when he needs motivation to get back into boxing. This movie eerily similar to Rocky 3, where he fights Clubber Lang. Right? He's retired.
That's what I was thinking of, Clubber Lang.
Yeah, he's retired. He's living another life. We're starting to get into the relationship with him and his son. It's eerily similar to Rocky 3. And then you have this young, brash, strong fighter who motivates him to get back in the ring. But in the training montage, he has trouble. He's impotent. He can't get it up. Right? He can't get it going. And it takes one of his old foes to kick his ass in the ring to get him going. It's very similar. Very similar. That was one. And the just the needing to get motivated thing to actually train. It's like, you came out of retirement, fam. Why do people need to get you? That is a common thing in the Rocky movies. Him going in these training montages, and in the very beginning he doesn't have it, and then he builds and he builds and he builds, and now he's pulling a plane, or he's lifting a horse wagon like Rocky did out in the shed before he fought Drago.
Yes.
So there's a lot of Rocky tropes that pop up in the film, but they are trying not to be Rocky very hard.
Funny enough, I thought so in Creed 1, Adonis runs through Philly and they got all the bikes doing wheelies. I thought that was his running up the steps.
Right. And so that stuff early on in the series was done purposefully because they were trying to have that connective tissue between Rocky and Adonis. Now it seems like, I won't say that they've abandoned it, but it wasn't prevalent in this movie consciously. It popped up in spots where they weren't conscious of the fact that they were repeating the same stuff that happened in prior Rocky movies. Well,
here's the crazy thing about that. So that was the thing in Creed 1. I thought him running up the Hollywood sign was the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So just another
running up the steps in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I felt like that was the exact same thing. You mentioned your short. And in your short, you had mentioned a couple things that I wanted to talk about. You mentioned the shot of the two actors.
Yo,
I when I saw it, I was looking for this shot that you were talking about because I'd obviously edited yours before seeing the movie, and it has to have been when they were looking at each other, but through the wall.
Through the wall?
Yeah. Okay.
Damn, that shit was hard.
That
shit was hard.
That was hard.
That's a very good eye for Michael B. Jordan in his directorial debut.
Yeah.
Like that was a fire scene. I really liked how they introduced his daughter and their relationship and how it kind of balanced out Creed's story in this movie. Right? Because it wasn't something of like, oh man, she's this child prodigy and she's the best kid fighter there has ever been. She shows bright spots. She shows moments of promise. She shows that she has some of her father's talent and that it needs to be honed and that it needs to be nurtured. Right?
But she has her own interest in it that was brought on by her father.
Exactly. And so now her father can seamlessly step into that role of being her mentor, and it happens naturally.
Yeah.
Right? We're not forcing these two people together, and then all of a sudden the kid's better than the elder statesman ever was and doesn't actually need any counseling and is showing him up and talking to him greasy and all other kind of stuff with attitude. And that is the way that most films and television shows, I would say in the last 5 years, have chosen to take on the tone of a mentor-mentee relationship in media. And I would say it's not one that has gone over the best. This was seamless. This felt very well balanced. It felt well thought out. It felt honest, right? It was genuine. You could feel the love and connection between him and his daughter. I thought that was dope because it's not a lot of people who are taking, that's an old school approach to that dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? Acquiescing to your elder and actually learning something. It sounds crazy, but it's an older way of doing it, but it works so much better to me.
And I didn't feel like there wasn't some sort of positioning of it being like, oh, look, now we've got a female Creed maybe in the future.
At all. But I can legitimately see, I can conceptualize her climb to become a prize fighter.
It wasn't an MCU type deal.
She just didn't jump out and become the #1 boxing prospect at 8 years old in this movie.
Yeah.
Right? So I can conceptualize, okay, if they make another Creed film, she'll probably be, Junior Olympics or something like that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing that you had mentioned that I had to cut out for a time on the short, ironically enough. You had mentioned that the second act seemed a bit choppy, and how a lot of films recently feel like they may be cutting key developmental parts from the movie and post just to kind of, save time or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so there's this point, and I mean, I can pinpoint it in the last, I'd say 5 or 6 movies that I've seen. Ant-Man, Menu, Knock at the Door, Megan. So there's this point, right, where you can kind of feel that the pace of the movie is starting to pick up. We're jumping from scene to scene. The shots are coming a lot quicker, right? It's usually where the training montages are, or where they're, somebody has just experienced some sort of loss or pitfall, and we see how they're dealing with it in the aftermath, and they give you quick shots of their life afterward. That's in the point where I'm talking about. And it usually is a stark difference in how fast we're moving with the events, the days that are passing, what's happening, than what the previous hour and a half were giving us. And so it's off-putting.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of studios are doing that. And the only thing that I can think that is the link between all of these different directors is probably that's where post-production happens. That's where your cuts happen. That's where you start shaving things and cutting scenes for time. And when you're doing that, it's not always going to look seamless.
Yeah.
It's going to be choppy in a certain point, I guess. I don't know. I've been noticing it a lot now that, I guess we're getting deeper into films and stuff like that.
So basically the pacing of the film is very kind of slow-ish, not super slow, but like it's slower in the first act, and then it kind of gets super fast out of nowhere. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, because you mentioned typically there's a montage or a death. I completely forgot the mom died.
Yeah. Because we were just
glanced
boom,
over
boom,
it.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I should go there, but let's just say somebody's influence was felt on this movie for sure.
Okay.
Somebody's influence was felt on this movie for sure.
That's fair.
Because why? Why did that have to happen at all?
That's crazy.
Why?
Yeah.
Dude? I don't know why that is such a common thing for him. It's really become his calling card, and it's very novel at this point. It's like I don't appreciate a one-trick pony.
Yeah. It's very weird, because I feel like all of the Creed movies have been emotionally moving enough without, throughout the Creed movies, there's obviously a hierarchy. There's obviously a death looming over the movie.
Well, right? And there's always deaths. There's always deaths, right? Rocky lost Adrian, he lost Mick, he loses Paulie. Right, so there's always deaths in Rocky movies. Here, though, at the end of the last movie, the mom was healthy. She was fine. They said she had a stroke.
Yeah,
and then it was just I knew the minute that they started talking about moving her in the house that she was going to die in the movie. It was like a guaranteed thing.
Yeah,
I knew it.
Yeah,
because I knew who one of the creative partners in the movie was, and I just know how that man thinks. No, let me stop. I have seen how he produces films, how he makes films, and he is very reliant on losing someone to push his protagonist forward.
And it's just this movie didn't need it, and
it didn't at all. We were full of emotion from everything that was happening in this movie. The relationship with Dame and Adonis. His wife continuing to lose her hearing, changing her career over it. Her daughter inheriting the same disease. I'm assuming a more advanced version of it, because she's already completely deaf.
Yeah.
There's enough emotion in this film already to kind of keep us at the edge of our seat, or keep us in a state of angst without drowning all over it with a shock death. Yeah, like a shock death. It's somebody had to die. It wasn't going to be Tess, wasn't going to be Michael B, wasn't going to be Dame. So the next one is Felicia Rashad.
It's not like he needed it for motivation either.
Fam, stop taking opportunities to have these elder statesman actors in these film franchises off the board so that you can have a moment in your film. Seriously, get off of it, bro. Do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else.
Mm-hmm. Back to the choppiness, I feel like for me, the moment where things kind of took a change in pace, kind of started going a little fast, is when all of a sudden Jonathan Majors' character, Dame, is a bad guy, right? It didn't happen in the boxing ring necessarily. Yeah, he was kind of targeting bro's shoulder.
That's where the writing kind of faltered for me, because I thought this dude was the #1 amateur boxer in the country when he was out, right before he got locked up. Right, he was better than Adonis. He was older, stronger. He was the guy. He was, because this plays into another point I kind of had about the story. But if he never pulls the gun out and lets Adonis get his ass whooped, he probably goes on and has the career that Adonis has. If that's the case, why is he automatically reverting to just being dirty? Like, he could have beat dude without doing that.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, even when they were in the gym, I was expecting to see the boxing prowess that was highly touted by a now champion, right? And Adonis, like, he's the one telling us how good Dame was. They both are. So it's like, he's so good that now he has to go in there and fight like a Ricky Hatton or a, like a dirty boxer. It's just like,
the only bail I'll give to that is he did say he learned a few new moves in prison.
Yeah, okay.
And where would you learn to play dirty?
I don't know. It kind of cheapened it for me.
I would agree with that.
It cheapened it because here is this well thought out, calculated guy, and also a world class fighter who's been planning his return or his revenge on Adonis for all these years. And then once we got in the midst of it, it seemed very ragtag. It seemed very like, oh, this nigga is a crash dummy. Like he don't have no sense. He's gonna burn out like a star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would have liked them to stay on that pathological track that they were on, that deep thinker, that maniacal thinker. Like, man, I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Like, you don't even know what's about to happen, because I think that would have did a lot more to drive home the reveal that they gave us in the middle of the movie.
Yes.
That homeboy that fucked up Drago's hand was his homie from jail. Yeah. It would have did a lot more to drive home that point. Another Rocky trope that popped up in this. Adonis stayed oblivious to the fact that Dame was trying to do anything to him. Right? Like, he was just like, oh, yeah, he just wants to be my friend. After 20 years in prison for saving me, he just wants to be my friend.
Yeah.
No one could get through to him to make him see that, right? Not Duke, not his wife, not his mom. Nobody could get him to see that until she showed him the picture. Yeah, until she showed him the picture. Who would have gotten him out of that shit quicker? Who would have gotten into his head and told him, hey, yo, you're not seeing a full picture here. Take another look at this. Who would have been able to do that? You've seen all 3 Creed movies now. Who would have been able to counsel Adonis through this situation?
Hey, you Donnie, I don't really like to look at this guy.
You feel me? Like, it's like they're working overtime not to put this is Adonis's movie, and I get that. But in doing so, the tropes, they just come back up. So I'm waiting for somebody to be able to actually get through to this man and so he stops lashing out, right? But that person isn't there.
Yeah.
So he rages and he rages and he rages in front of his daughter and rages at his wife, and he keeps raging until he finally breaks down and he has to talk to his wife.
Yeah.
You want to know who could have gotten that conversation through to him about 2 weeks ago? You're running around and you're not being a champion. You're being a chump. That's what winning's about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to look at this kid, Donnie. I don't know.
You get hit, but you don't give up. You get back up. That's how winning's done. You know what I'm saying? That's all it would have took. And he would be like, you know what, Rocky? This nigga trying to play me. You're right. This he trying to hit me with the opie doke. You are right.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we don't have our movie, so.
True. There's 2 things, one minor thing and one major thing. The first thing is, you mentioned he was in the ring, at least, a very like pragmatic thinker. Jonathan Majors' character was. He often said checkmate when fighting in the ring, like when he knew he got his guy, which Adonis said right in his last fight.
Yeah.
So I assume that was going to come back at some point, and it just never tied in at the last fight. I just thought that was a little weird.
We were doing other things with the last fight. So let me ask you, how did you feel about the final fight scene between Dame and Adonis?
I still don't know if I liked or didn't like for what they showed us, the second to last ring where it was just them in the ring together.
Yeah.
I don't know if I liked that or didn't like it. I still can't put my finger on it.
When I seen that, I was like, people are either going to absolutely love this or they are going to absolutely hate it.
I would agree with that.
I did not care for it. Well, okay. Let me walk it through it. The start of the fight, the walkouts, everything is cool. The energy is up. I feel like I am watching a boxing match. I feel like I am in the stadium watching a boxing match. Right? The fight starts. This is what I want Marvel, if they paid attention to this movie at all, if there's even a creative who's interested in seeing anything outside of their own bubble. But if they are, and they did watch this movie, the thing that they should take from this is that practical fight scenes are 100,000 million billion, to quote my son, better than CGI fights.
Yeah.
1,000% of the time. Practical fighting is always better than morphing two cartoons together and having a fight.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yep.
I can't recall a fight scene that I enjoyed more than the fight scenes I've seen in Creed over at the MCU. It's not comparable. And on top of that, it shows me that the actors who are doing it are so much more into the role that they are playing. They're so much more dedicated, because you don't just get into a boxing ring and do what they did, right? You have to train like a boxer. You have to learn how to fight. They were having a actual boxing match in there. So like, they got me up to that level.
Yeah.
Right. I was there. Like the intensity was up. I'm feeling it. All of a sudden, we go into, I think we were at like the 4th round or something like that. By the time we get out of that damn shadow realm that them niggas was in, it was round 11. Yeah. I'm like, fam, what happened to the fight? 11?
It's done. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Imagine, okay, so as emotional as that scene got, where he's bumping into the jail bars and it's the police lights and it's just them two in the stadium, right? And they're everything, they giving it, they yelling at each other. Ah! Ah! You know what I'm saying? Right? It was up. Can you imagine being there, seeing that happen in the middle of a fight? Can you imagine if that moment actually happened in front of us while everybody was there cheering instead of them being in the damn quantum realm?
Now, I think from what I heard is that was inspired by some anime. It was some anime that inspired that.
I get it. Setup. It was very artsy, and it was very bold to take that route with your climax, right? It didn't land for me. My wife loved it. Some of our friends we was talking to last night loved it.
I'm on the fence about it.
I would say more of the women liked it so far that I've talked to. I mean, they was both in there with the shirts off, so I guess they cleared the bar. But I don't know. I what I took from it is that you either really loved that part or it didn't work so much for you. So I guess it's just, you know.
For me, I think it was an attempt, and I think I respect the attempt, but I didn't like it, and that's why I feel like I'm kind of like,
yeah, fam. I wanted to see every round of that fight.
Yeah,
I wanted to see every round of that fight. That's some of the best things about Creed and Rocky films is actually getting to see what a boxer goes through 12 rounds of hell.
Yeah, up close.
Like, you can think about fighting 12 3-minute rounds or 12 2-minute rounds or whatever. But if you've never done that, you don't understand how visceral in nature that type of abuse is.
Yeah.
And you see it, right? You go from them walking into the ring, fresh face, Vaseline on the cheekbones. We ready to go. I'm hype. I look like I just ran a mile. I'm good to go. And by the time you get out of there, you look like some hamburger meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I just didn't like how we jumped a whole gap in the fight. If they'd have had that and then we go back and we finish out the fight, like if that was a round and then we get to see the other progressing rounds, okay. But I don't know.
Okay, so the other major thing that I saw was, okay, so obviously again we saw Jonathan Majors' character was much more of a, you know, a pragmatic thinker when it came to the ring. And I liked Jonathan Majors' more intimate scenes, like when he was speaking with...
That's when he get to show his chops.
Yeah.
I low-key felt like at times when he was the tough guy, he was playing out of his element. Like he was definitely playing a character at them moments.
Well, literally the heel turn was when it was kind of like, okay, all right.
But then he really gets in his bag when they're going back about their memories and their upbringing and stuff like that. That's when he get into his bag.
The not diner scene, but whatever restaurant they went to, when he's at the party with Tessa Thompson's character and they're kind of talking, and then obviously he sees, you know, the ruckus go on with his prison guy beating up Drago. Like, there's just so many things about it when it comes to like those little smaller intimate scenes where he's maybe with one other person. I just felt like they could have developed that more to where it could have been him playing that pragmatic thinker all the way through, which I guess they kind of did, but like there was just more scenes of that missing to where I should have been like, I should have figured early on like, oh, I think maybe he might be, you know, actually a bad guy in this situation.
Yeah.
Right. That should have grown as opposed to he's the bad guy.
I agree.
And so, I don't know. That was kind of my own
the pacing with the movie, it should assist you with that.
Yes.
How quickly you're giving us new information should assist you in the ascension of the ascension of your antagonist.
Yes.
It was fine through about I think a third of the movie, and then in the second third of the movie it kind of got a little wishy-washy.
Agreed. And then so that mixed with the mom's random death and a couple other things, it just felt a little bit more rushed on that second half. But
sure. But I had a lot of fun at this movie though.
Agreed.
I had a lot of fun at the movie. I would official score 7.5.
Damn it.
7.5.
That's what I would give it to.
7.5.
I was hoping you would say 7, so I can be like 7.5, and then be like, all right, cool. Yeah,
well above average.
It's better than any Marvel score we've given, at least as of recently.
Ant-Man. What was the last one after that? I gave Megan an 8, didn't I? The only reason why I probably gave Megan a little bit of a higher score, they didn't do nearly as much with the script, right? It was very linear storytelling, but it was done effectively, right? You can tell a straightforward, obvious story without, convoluting it with a lot of other stuff that just doesn't need to be there.
I think something should be said about expectations going into a movie and what you see coming out of a movie as well.
Sure. And I had very low expectations.
I'm sure you didn't have great expectations going into Megan, but you left.
Well, decent. I obviously went and paid for the movie, but I wasn't expecting to have as much fun as I did. So
there you go. And whereas Creed, you probably had decent expectations, and in some cases they met them. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on the Creed movie after you see it. Tell us in the comments below what you thought. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week. Any week after that, we got movie reviews coming.
Absolutely. And make sure you check out his out of theater reaction if you haven't already. And make sure you subscribe anytime, like he said, we get any big movies, we'll be sure to go ahead and review them for you guys.